Hello, welcome to this video. My name is Jeremy, and today I'm going to be talking about my journey off of substances. If you're new to this channel or to my videos, I've been on quite a epic healing journey for the last 6 years or so. And it started in 2015 with chronic headaches that became so intense I basically had to give up my work and my life and focus on healing and getting better. And there's been a lot of depression as well throughout the years. And I'm not sure to what extent I'll get into that, but that is the prelude into where I'm at now, where I'm celebrating. I'm trying to celebrate and be proud of my achievements. 6 months of off substances, off mind-altering substances, of sobriety, cleansing. And so I'm just going to talk a little bit about that and the impact it's had on me and where I'm still struggling and the challenges and insights and anything else that wants to come through during this video. So let's begin. So I'll start by sharing the accomplishment, because this is something that I personally want to be more proud of, but because I'm still struggling day to day with mostly depression, some anxiety, and then a lot of headaches, I still am in a way skewed by my expectation of wanting to feel better. That being said, I feel like I'm on the right path. I used to take a lot of THC. There were times I was taking it multiple times a day for the headache, and then also for what I didn't realize at the time was as a numbing of the emotional discomfort that I wasn't able to sit with. And then I got really into psychedelics as well, mostly mushrooms and ayahuasca with a little bit of LSD or peyote, San Pedro, but mostly those two. And at one point I was really into coffee enemas, and then caffeine became a stimulant as well. And then also even cacao, and alcohol was never really a big part of my journey. I guess I dropped that because it just gave me headaches. But all those substances that I've named, including refined sugar, I've stayed away from as much as possible. I have cut out of my life, with the exception, I think I had tea maybe once or twice with caffeine, didn't like it, and then I had just like sweet cake celebrating once, and to me, I realized that refined sugar is definitely a mind-altering substance, and I was high for about an hour and then completely crashed. So the biggest challenges for me have definitely been the THC and then the ayahuasca. Those two, and mushrooms a little bit, though I took a lot of mushrooms in 2019, and a lot of them I did that by myself, and then I did that in 2020 with ayahuasca, and then the THC was kind of just like in between, during the days. But the thing is, where I stand now, I feel more grounded, I feel more clear, but I definitely miss the highs. I miss the escapes. I miss the peak experiences, the insights, the reality that was created by being intoxicated by those substances. And that's still a bit sad for me. Though I know that I'm being forced to meet life more intimately. And while it's not necessarily comfortable, it's what's there. And even though it's been a difficult decision to go off of all substances, I feel like staying on them was even harder because it was more of this like up and down, and I would just be like totally high and feeling connected and peaking, and it was destabilizing for my system, but it was also distorting my expectations because I would get into these spaces and then all of a sudden I felt invincible. I felt powerful. It was like I was standing on someone else's shoulders so that I could see over the fence into possibility. And then sooner or later, I would come down from those shoulders and then be met with the fence or the wall blocking my vision. And so, without the aid of substances, it's like I'm just staring at the wall and like building my own ladder step by step, but feeling like, wow, I've like lost grounds. Or as I told a friend once, it felt like on high on substances, specifically in this reference, ayahuasca, it felt like I was like decorating and modeling a floor on my house that was like the fifth floor, but then now I was stuck on the ground floor and there was no elevator or stairs for me to connect to that yet. Maybe at some point I'll get back there, but it's kind of like I felt really frustrated and disappointed, like I had been wasting my time just kind of like chasing these peak experiences, trying to like decorate this room that I can't even reach on my own. And so it's been very boring. Like it's been really hard. I it's been really hard. It's been really hard, but I feel like it's the only way. I get a sense now that even though I had temporary relief and temporary positive experiences, it was just a bit of a distraction of the ultimate directness into what's real. And so when I say that, I mean the pain I'm experiencing, the headaches, and the depression, which are the two main symptoms I'm facing these days. I wasn't able to see clearly what was going on if I was on a substance. It was, in a way, a holiday from the very dynamic that was causing me pain and suffering. And so it's a bit of a dichotomy there where it felt good for the moment, but ultimately I was running away from staring directly into the truth of what's happening. So what do I mean by that? It's really all these thoughts that are creating the suffering, the negativity inside of me that's, oh my gosh, another day, I'm never going to get better, I'm not capable, like a lot of negative thinking, which I sense is the root of a lot of suffering, or all of it. And I don't necessarily feel like an authority to talk on that subject right now, but I'm closer to what's going on, to the dynamic, and that's scary because now I can see, wow, I'm really mean to myself. I really believe in all these thoughts, and sometimes it's not even a thought. It's just like and then I believe and align with these energies that say, oh, I shouldn't get out of bed, or oh, I'm never going to get better, or oh, life is just horrible and it's torture, and so it's been uncomfortable in that way and daunting, but ultimately it feels like the only path for me that makes sense ultimately, if I want to be liberated, if I want to be free, if I want to actually be integrated from these pains and not just have a temporary relief. I don't want to cope anymore. So just coming down into feeling my legs a little bit because I'm starting to get a headache just talking a lot. So yeah, I'm sharing this more for myself. Hopefully it can help other people, but I realize I gotta talk about my experience. It's healing for me, and then also hopefully it can help other people. Um, so to give some context on what sparked the substance cleansing is I received some energy work from a beautiful man named Chris, and he basically said no getting high for a month, otherwise a lot of the work that we just did might be reversed. So then I did no high July. It's January now. So I did that for about a month, and then I hit him up. I was like, all right, can I use THC again, or what's the deal? And then he passed me along and referred me to another healer and named Suzanne. And I've been working with her, and she basically was like, yeah, THC just creates like a rubber on your field, and it makes it really difficult to, it's just numbing. And then she talked about how ayahuasca was destabilizing for my system, and actually what she said, something is pretty mystical, if you will, but she said that it was like stretching me out so much, where taking ayahuasca is, it takes people to some other realm, and that like I was being attached to this realm, and it was like taking me away from the grounded reality here on earth. And so she actually had to do some healing work for me to detach me from that realm. And that's been a bit of a grieving, like a sadness. I put a lot of time and energy in the plant medicine path, in music and rituals and prayers and ceremonies and studying and learning, and so it's been a grieving for me. But ultimately I believe I'm just coming back to myself instead of giving my power away to, you know, learning a song, and that song is going to make me feel better when I sing it in the right place under the right circumstances. It's just brought me to come back to just like myself, my bones, my body, my breath, and the earth. So yeah, 6 months, and sometimes I really miss it. But it's clear to me that it's not like, oh, if I were to just get high, I'd feel better. It's just like, oh, I'm not okay right now, and I'm just craving a temporary experience because I'm in. It's really hard for me to accept the reality of what's going on now. It's hard for me to accept my sensations, my thoughts, my emotions, whatever. And so I want something else. I don't want to be with myself right here and right now. And so those are the spaces in which I'm like, oh, I wish I could get high. I just want to get out of here. It's very much a form of escape. I'm not saying that everybody is like that with all substances. There's definitely times where people feel intuitively guided to drink something or eat something or smell something. For me, that's not the case. It's definitely an escape. So, so that's daunting and that's hard. And another friend asked me recently, he's like, I'm curious if this is like a forever thing or what. And to me, it feels like a forever thing. Not in the sense that I can predict my future, but in the sense that I am cutting ties with my past and letting go of any expectation to return to my old ways. I actually, yesterday, I dropped off a bunch of ayahuasca and THC, gave it away to my friend. I just had to finally clear out my cabinet of anything. It was causing me a lot of anxiety to just have it around, even though I knew I wasn't going to touch it. Just didn't want to look at it, didn't want to be reminded of it. I still don't to a certain extent. I used to be super into medicine music and psychedelic music and all that stuff, and listen to it and sing about it and write songs, and now I've just completely cut off all that. It's hard. It's like a mourning. I've deleted playlists on my Spotify, delete songs from playlists that kind of trigger memories of ceremonies and stuff like that. And I'm I'm feeling a bit sad now as I share that. It's it is sad, and one day I really hope that I can look back and be grateful and say, "Ah, that was just a phase in my life. Those were tools that really helped me. Those were methods that got me to the next place, that allowed me to let go of them and get to the next place. But right now, I'm not fully there yet. I haven't fully let go of the raft that got me across so I can go hiking in the woods. I've kind of like, well, I've let go of the raft, but part of me doesn't even want to think about it. I'm not grateful that it helped me cross the river. I'm a bit bitter and sad and wondering, am I gonna need the raft again? It's like I'm walking through land, but I'm like afraid. Oh no, what if there's another big river? I'm gonna need the raft. Um, so it's been sad. It's been hard, but ultimately, I feel like I'm doing the right thing, and I think the alternative is way harder. And I'm finding more stability. I'm much more grounded, and I do sense there are incremental progresses taking place in my mental health, in my physical health. It's difficult to always acknowledge that because there's usually something going on. Like this morning, I woke up and frankly, I didn't want to get out of bed most days. It's hard for me to get out of bed first thing in the alarm, and there's always this thought like, oh, if my morning call gets canceled, I can just go back to sleep. Yeah, it's not fun. It's not comfortable, but like I'm okay. What I try not to do is spiral until it's like, oh my gosh, and life's horrible, and I'm this horrible person because I can't get out of bed, and look at me, blah blah blah. And I have a bit of a headache right now. But one thing that I feel like the substances were giving me this like delusion of that, like, oh, I can just push away all the feelings and have a temporary experience of not feeling. And so yeah, I don't know if this is just like specific to me or everybody who takes a lot of substances, but it's like it's making me realize how I don't want to say distorted or unhealthy or maybe just confusing my relationship to life was. And so really what I'm doing now, and this is in a way the ultimate healing journey, is I'm working on my relationship to life, my relationship to myself, and doing everything in my power to have a better experience of myself, to have a better experience of life. And there was somewhere when I was taking the substances, I was pushing life away to have this temporary experience. It wasn't integrated in this bubble of life. It was like, put life over here and I'm going to go up here. So without that, I'm just coming more and more closely to life itself. And while the symptoms are still here, I'm still moving, still going. I even had to drop cacao. Like my system now is just so sensitive. Cacao was something that became like a morning stimulant, like caffeine or coffee or tea. And even that, it was just, I felt like I would drink it and I would have this like 30 to 45 minutes of stimulation and maybe excitement and confidence, and then I would crash and I would get a headache. And so I just kept asking myself, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is it worth it to go up if I'm going to go down and be not necessarily fucked, but dealing with the consequence of that? And it's boring. I'm in a 30-year-old body. I'm 30 years old, okay? Sometimes I feel like I'm just like a 70-year-old. Like my lifestyle is very simple. Two other things that this healer I'm working with has guided me to pause is breath work and exercise, which to me were two forms of getting high, two forms of coping, of escaping. And those are two things where maybe I would do some intense breath work or heavy exercise, feel a bit better in the moment, but then after, headache would come back stronger. And I also think that as a consequence of that is I would be a little bit more disconnected from my thoughts and my emotions and my sensations. So it's not only that I would have a rebound physical symptom, or perhaps a symptom is connected to this, but it's almost like I would try to push stuff away, exercise, breath work, and then when I come back to it, it would be even more painful. So then it would just be confusing because I'm like, oh, exercise is something that's good for me. Breath work is something that's good for me. This is supposed to be helpful. And then thoughts and spirals and negativity. So yeah, here I am, 6 months sober. I have no intention of going back to any of the substances. I would like to get to a point where I'm healthy and stable and calm and feel strong, where I can test myself and say, let's see what happens to my body if I have a little THC, or if I have a little coffee, or if I have a glass of wine. But to me, I would want that space to come from, okay, I'm okay and I'm capable, and let's just see how this affects my body, versus I'm not okay and I got to take something to change my experience so that I can handle it better. So that's where I'm at. I wish I had like a list of all the things in my life that have improved since going off of these substances, but I don't. It's easier to wake up in the morning, but I wish I could say I'm waking up to the sunrise every morning, popping out of bed with all this energy. It's just not true. It's easier to wake up in the morning. My head hurts way less in the morning. I still have a lot of difficulty falling asleep. THC used to really help with that. I still have difficulty getting going in the morning. Caffeine or cacao used to help me with that. I wish I could say, I've lost all this weight, but that's not true. I've actually gained weight because I'm not exercising. I go on walks. I try to go on walks every day. Sometimes even that's too much for my system, though. So yeah, my relationships, I guess, are much more clear. It's almost like I'm making this video so I can force myself to see the positives, because for me, part of the symptom of this depression is kind of I only see things through the lens of like, but it's not that great. But I'm still suffering. But it wasn't what I expected. So one thing I realized, my relationships are definitely better. And to me, that's a symptom of just being more grounded. I'm way less impulsive. I'm way less reactive. My relationship with my wife, June, is incredible. We haven't had any conflict in a long time, or conflict that lasted more than 5-10 minutes. We're clear in our communication, and I feel like I'm way less reactive as well. I'm still tender and reactive, and sometimes feeling really vulnerable to the outside world and little things that happen, but way more stable than I used to be. And so like text messages and phone calls or Facebook posts, little things like that I used to read and I would just like freak out or get super anxious or triggered or angry. I feel more grounded, and it's like I have more space where maybe I'm still getting triggered, but I'm watching it from back here, where before I was like up close and then all of a sudden would become one and move as the experience, as the anger, as the sadness. So yeah, there's definitely growth. There's definitely improvement. But one thing I would say I'm lacking of these days is faith and hope And that's one thing that the temporary buzz of a substance used to give me a lot of, especially psychedelics. It's like I would, I don't know, leave my body, go somewhere, see something magical, and it'd be like, cool, we are one. Oh my gosh, I'm more than this body. You know, these like spiritual truths, but I wasn't embodying them. And so now I'm being forced to like find the faith in the mundane, in the dull, everyday moments, and that's been the challenge for me. I'm not gonna lie. It's like I used to reach for some sort of spiritual lighthouse, and now that's not there anymore. Ultimately, I hope I get to find that inside of me, and I'm in the process of that, and I'm sure that it's there. But that's one thing I definitely miss. You know, that feeling of like, there's more. I'm just this little thing in this grand universe, and really an escape from like this bubble of suffering of like, I'm on the outside. Or as another teacher described, it's like psychedelics allow us to be like outside of the building of the ego, and we're like, whoa, this is really free and beautiful and magical. But ultimately, we got to come back into the building and dismantle it brick at a time through, you know, daily practice. So I'm very much in the brick building, and I'm like, okay, you know, I miss the ecstasy, I miss the highs. My relationship with music has changed a lot, because I used to just like get high and want to sing, and you know, it was like the highs from one experience. I would like write a song or write a lick or be excited about that, and then that would carry over and give me momentum for like something to do. So it's very much a period of stripping away of, it's boring, honestly. It's boring. I'm not doing so much. Don't have a lot of motivation. I don't feel like I have a lot of momentum, though ultimately I trust I'm going where I need to go. So thanks for watching. This is almost getting to 30 minutes. I appreciate you. If you like this video, please hit like, leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions or want to get in touch, please let me know. I admit I do feel, and I'm going to get sad again, I feel like I lack purpose as well. In some way, my relationship with substances gave me more energy to just do more, to create more, to serve, to sing, to write. And so I'm feeling a bit disconnected from that. So part of making this videos is an attempt to have more purpose, to share my voice with whoever wants to listen. So if this connected with you and you want to reach out, let me know. If you know somebody, consider sharing this with a friend who it may benefit. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I wish you a beautiful day and a lot of peace.